Hi Steve.
Hi Paul, how are you?
Good. Good trip down?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Not too much traffic.
That's good. Hi, it's Paul from Sailing Cape Louise. I'm down at Refuge Bay, which is right next to Bobbin Head. It's been raining for days due to La Nina, which is, for those that don't know, is a Pacific warming we get every now and then that causes a lot of rain this summer. So this summer we had a lot of rain, last summer we had bushfires. Anyway, Steve's coming down from Lake Macquarie and we're going to head up to the historic Refuge Bay if there's enough wind. All the way up here, which should be really good because it's a nightmare to tap all the way up here, but not much wind, might rain, but as I say, it's good to be out on the water. And here comes Steve. I've just adjusted the rigging slightly because it was pointed out to me from the last video that my mast had actually, the rake of the mast had slipped forward a bit. And that happens when you've got lanyards holding on the side stays and they stretch a bit. So I've moved it back probably, or the top of the mast probably back about 6 inches. So we'll see how we go. That should, and I've also moved the yard forward a bit. So that should help setting it. And hopefully we won't have any lee helm. Today's a bit of a trial. We'll find out what happens. And I've got new sunglasses. Yes, because I lost the lens out of the other one and it kept falling out. So, yeah, no longer the pirate look Robert, unfortunately, but there you go. The weather is looking a bit ominous, but at least the wind's behind us. Steve's up ahead, he just sort of shot past. Well, that rain squall has passed, now we've got a bit of blue sky again. It's quite warm despite the showers. Should be more wind up here, with a bit of luck. But we are sailing all right. Raining again. Just thinking it's a bit like English sailing. The rain, that is. Yeah, not the best of sails, but hey, we'll get there. It's a little bit wet, but I'll probably keep going. I did have a flask of coffee to keep me going. So it looks like the rain's eased for a bit, which is good. It's still very cloudy though. And I think the wind has picked up a little bit. So I think we're going to be able to get to historic Refuge Bay today, which is good. So here's Steve's new tarp. Not inspired by Roger. Well, it's about 5 o'clock. We're set up. Still a bit windy. I'm not going to put the tarp up until the wind dies down a bit. But sun's out, just drying off a bit. It's not a bad spot. But there is a flotilla here. Actually, it's more like a fleet. It is 2 days before Australia Day, so maybe people are going to stay here for 3 or 4 days, and it's a Sunday. I thought most of them would have gone by now, but alas no. Had a really good sail today. It was very fluky to start with, as it always is coming down from Bobbin Head. There wasn't as much wind as predicted, but once we got past Cottage Point, all of a sudden it picked up, and it was like 10 to 12 knots, you know. It's some gusts were about 15, and it's still windy now, so I don't know what it'll be like tomorrow. Apparently it's meant to be less tomorrow, but we'll see. Water was warm. Yeah, just enjoying the evening now. Beautiful evening. And for dinner tonight, vegetarian curry, thanks to the better half, with fresh coriander. Yum. Well, good morning. It's probably about 7 o'clock, 6 or 7 o'clock. Nobody seems to be up. We had a very wet night. Rained on and off quite a bit. I eventually fell asleep. And then in the middle of the night there was this bonk. And I thought, what's that? I've hit something. And Steve and I were actually together. Somehow we drifted in opposite directions and managed to hit each other. So I got up and paddled out and re-dropped the anchor further up. So now we're a bit further away. Which was interesting in the dark and trying not to fall overboard. So I've just come ashore to have a bit of an explore. It's still very early in the morning, not many people are up. Beautiful, so quiet here. You can occasionally hear whistling kites. That's a bird that whistles. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it on the video. Tide's out, but it's coming in. So just behind me, you can't really see it from this angle, but we might get a bit closer before we go, is the actual beach and the waterfall at Refuge Bay. Now it's historic because during the war, about 15 men trained here in a secret force called the Z Unit, and they camped up on the top of the hill, and for 3 months they practiced commando drills, swimming out to ships or paddling out to ships that were nearby and painting a cross on them to let them know that they'd got there at night. Well, after 3 months of training, they were picked up by the Crate, which is this famous old fishing boat, and they were taken from here all the way up the coast to Darwin, and it broke down quite a few times. And then from Darwin they went across to Singapore, And then in Singapore Harbour, they managed to sink 6 ships, get back to the boat, and managed to get all the way back to Australia without anyone dying. I think it was about a year later they then tried a second trip with a different boat, and this time they were going to use collapsible kayaks to paddle into Singapore Harbour. They got caught. Most of them there were killed on the spot, and 10 of them went to a concentration camp where they were later executed by the Japanese. So this area has quite a little bit of history during the war. There is a plaque over there. We'll see if we can find the plaque. Okay, so Steve's got a very fancy new camping sort of espresso machine. So how does it work, Steve?
So you take the top, this is the cup, which is quite small. Then you unscrew this top bit and you place your pod in there, and then screw it, that punctures the top of the pod. Screw it back on, unscrew this end, put your hot water in there, screw that back on, and then the coffee comes out this hole. So you pump this about 8 times, which builds up the pressure, and then you just slowly pump it and it dribbles the coffee out.
Very
the bottom.
Good, and it's so small as well.
It's so small.
And it makes good coffee?
And it makes good coffee, yes. Very nice.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm going to go and put my coffee on now.
And no batteries required.
Very good coffee. Very good. So this is the famous beach and the waterfall. They had a camp up the top there, and they used to practice abseiling up and down here. So while they were camped here for 3 months, they pretty much lived off fish they could catch, and that waterfall's fresh water, so they had fresh water. 3 months here. It was an interesting stop at Refuge Bay, where the Special Unit Z had that commando camp. Very interesting. Could do with another 3 or 4 knots of breeze, because we've got quite a long way to get back, but hopefully we'll be alright. It's meant to be picking up around about now, 11 o'clock, but there doesn't seem to be much evidence of it. Yeah, it looks like there might be more rain on the way. I've got to go down there. Yeah, so not the best day's sail, but I think we'll get home by about 3, which is okay. Nice example of a Davison cruiser. So am I!